3 days, hundreds of vendors, dozens of speakers, and thousands of homeschoolers all in one place. Homeschool conventions, they can be amazing or absolutely overwhelming. What makes the difference between coming home energized with perfect resources or exhausted with curriculum you'll never use? Today, I'm sharing my 10 tips for making the most of your homeschool convention experience and a little encouragement for why you should make it a priority to attend. There's just something about walking into a hall full of encouraging sessions and curriculum you can actually touch that gets me so excited I could squeal. But I also know conventions can feel overwhelming for many families, especially if you're new to homeschooling. That overwhelming feeling can turn what should be an amazing experience into something that feels like a disaster. But don't worry, I won't let that happen to you. Let's start with the why. Why should you even go to a homeschool convention in the first place? Well, there's no denying that attending a homeschool convention costs money. So is it really worth it? I've invested in a homeschool convention every single year of my 22-year homeschooling career, even before my kids were old enough to homeschool. Let me tell you why. A homeschool convention helps you teach more effectively. As a former classroom teacher, I can't stress this point enough. We are never done learning. None of us know all the best strategies for teaching our children. Even with a master's degree in education, I learn so much every year at convention. All good teachers know they need to sharpen their skills, and that's why schools send teachers to continuing education classes annually. Think about it this way. Would you want a brain surgeon operating on you if they hadn't kept up with the latest technologies? Absolutely not. Yet every single day in your homeschool, you're doing brain surgery. You're teaching and impacting children for the rest of their lives. As you invest in your child's future, how could you not invest in developing your skills so that you can teach them well? A homeschool convention is full of practical workshops where veteran homeschoolers will walk alongside you on this journey. You can learn, laugh, and sometimes even cry right along with other moms and dads as you sharpen the skills that you use each day. A homeschool convention also helps you find resources to make teaching easier. If you're new to homeschooling, you'll quickly discover the possibilities are endless. Years ago, homeschoolers had to create curriculum and resources themselves. Today, there are literally hundreds of fantastic choices, one for every possible family vision and lifestyle. Homeschool curriculum is like having a dishwasher or washing machine in your home. Sure, you could live without it, but why would you put yourself through that? Find the right tools to make your job easier. Of course, the trouble is figuring out which tool is best for your unique family. That's one of the huge advantages of a homeschool conference. You can touch and flip through the options. By doing this, you can truly get an idea of whether a particular resource is the right one for your family. Sometimes you can meet and talk to the authors of your favorite curriculum books or even new curriculum you might be interested in. A homeschool convention also gives you the encouragement that you need. Although everything I've said already is 100% true and valuable, I want you to know that a homeschool convention is about much more than thumbing through the latest version of a popular curriculum. It's about rubbing shoulders with like-minded people who are out there just like you, living the real homeschool life and depending on God for the grace to do it. Find a convention with a mission to provide that exact atmosphere. A vendor hall full of amazing curriculum is great, but I can't deny that the real beauty is knowing you're not alone in the journey. It's having someone to sit with you, pray with you, and walk alongside you as you navigate the waters of homeschooling. Each year when I attend my favorite conferences, it's like a giant family reunion. I feel connected to people I've never even met before, simply because their goals align so closely with mine. And of course, I see old friends over and over and over again, which I love. My kids always enjoyed the amazing children's program, as well as meeting vendors and authors of their favorite books. They also made friends that they visit with each year at conferences, even now as adults. Now that I've convinced you to attend a convention, right? Let me share some of the ways to make the most of that time at your convention. First, pray a lot. Ask God to guide you and help you know how you need to grow this year and what you need to learn about. I promise you, you will not leave a conference having learned only what you came in after. God always has other plans for us. Be ready for what He has for you. Next, you want to pick the right convention to attend. Yeah, I think it's totally possible to pick the wrong one. In fact, I did once. Our group of friends decided to go to a convention because of several big name speakers that were appearing. We drove a few hours and expected an amazing time. It did not go quite that way. In fact, we were sorely disappointed because of the lack of focus on the things that were important to us. So when you pick a homeschool homeschool convention to attend, always keep this in mind. The resources and the speakers offered will be a direct reflection of the goals and the focus of the organizers. Do they line up with yours? As a conservative Christian, I find many conventions actually don't line up with my beliefs. Of course, I could go to that convention and pick and choose what would help me, but then I'm giving money to support something I really don't want to support. Don't compromise just for a good deal on a vendor hall pass. It's not worth it. Once you've picked your event, plan to stay close to the convention. If you can possibly swing it, stay at the hotel where the event is being hosted. By doing this, you can use the extra time that you would be otherwise wasting by finding your car and relocating each day to process what you're learning. This is really a non-negotiable for me. I need time to unwind at night and even sometimes in the afternoon. I want my hotel to be right there. Next, assess your needs. Take some time before you go to assess your needs. Go through your old curriculum and make a list of what you have for each grade level. This is really important because you don't want to be standing in the vendor hall wondering if you have that or if you don't. Consider what's working and what isn't. I typically make columns for each child, then note how I feel about how it's going and how my child feels about it too. Is it working? Does it need to be replaced? Etc. From here, you can make a list of curriculum or materials that you'd like to look at while you're at the event. Next, look through the conference materials and make a list of the vendors that you need to visit. Then consider where your homeschool is struggling. What do you need help with? What problems are causing roadblocks to learning? This is going to help you choose your sessions. I'd also suggest that you go through day 1 and day 2 of my free homeschool bootcamp before you go to convention. I'm going to link it in the description. This will help you to go through all of the big questions in your homeschool and make sure that you think through the important things before you make any purchases. Next, we're going to make a list of sessions to attend. I often see homeschoolers focus on big name speakers. I've been guilty too. They figure that big name speakers are a must-see, and then they toss aside everything else to get to those sessions. Don't do that. If the topic doesn't meet your needs, let God lead you to something else. I'm not saying it's bad to hear a well-known speaker. Just make sure to choose topics that are relevant to your family's needs this year, not just ones that have a big name next to them. Take some time and pray over the right sessions. Be willing to change anything at the last minute. Having some sort of plan will guide you, and it will also keep you from feeling overwhelmed when you arrive. But you'll want the flexibility to be open to new ideas. If you go to your homeschool convention with your fists clenched tightly around some detailed schedule, you'll miss the blessing that God has for you. He intends to work in your life through the people, sessions, vendors, and friends at this convention. Be willing to change your plans and follow his lead while you're there. There might be a speaker that you desperately need to hear again, or might be a topic that God lays on your heart once you get. Go ahead and adjust your schedule and know that you aren't alone in doing that. In fact, nearly every time I speak, someone comes up and shares a story with me of how God rerouted their plans and landed them in my session. I love hearing how God used something I said to meet a very specific need in their lives, often a need they didn't even realize they had. I know this has happened to me personally at conventions too, so don't clench your fists around that schedule and be willing to hear God's voice. You'll be blessed. Next, don't be afraid of the vendor hall. The vendor hall is your chance to get your hands on curriculum and resources that you can't see in real life. This is an invaluable time to look at what you need for the coming year and also to plan for years to come. I've heard many people say that they avoid the vendor hall because everyone is selling stuff and the choices are overwhelming. It's true, people are selling stuff, but trust me when I say that most vendors are there to support you. We want your homeschool to succeed. So if our products help, wonderful. If they don't, we can often still help you find something that will. So take the time to express your needs and struggles to these vendors, especially those who are speaking at the conference. Again, our goal is to help you, and we love doing it. I'd also encourage you to support the vendors by purchasing at the event. Don't wait until you get home unless you really do need time to figure things out. When you buy at the event, it keeps those events coming back to your area. And if you don't, vendors can't afford to come back. Also, support their small businesses. I know you can sometimes get things cheaper on Amazon. However, sometimes saving that 50 cents or even $1 isn't worth it when I could truly bless someone else. Let me give you an example. I love Hal and Melanie Young. They're fantastic speakers and have written a book to help raise boys. They've actually written many, but that particular one has blessed my home. If I buy their book or another product from them, they get the maximum profit after their cost, which means they can buy more food and clothes for their family. But if I buy it off Amazon, they make pennies in comparison. So maybe I would save $1, but I'd miss the opportunity for their family to be blessed so much more. Next, don't overplan your time. Homeschool conventions are packed full of awesomeness, sessions, encouragement, shopping. I love to get there early and stay late. I want to take advantage of every moment that ticket buys me. Some of the early and late sessions will be less full, giving you more time to talk to other moms and even the speaker. But it's easy to run yourself so ragged that you miss the blessing of refreshment. So don't let that happen. Leave some space for lunch and some time to think. Also, get plenty of rest before you go. If your kids are little, try to leave them at home or put them in the children's program so you have more time to focus and think. I know many who bring their husbands or even a good friend and make the weekend a goal-setting, life-changing experience. This is such an awesome way to set the tone for your family. Of course, I'm not saying you can't enjoy the weekend if you bring your kids, so don't hear that. There is great motivation for coming as a family. Just make sure you find some time to think, plan, and listen to God. By the way, as my kids got a little bit older, they loved walking the vendor halls and suggesting curriculum for our family. For the most part, every single speaker and vendor at this conference came to this place to talk to you. Otherwise, they could have stayed home and sold their product online. So please, don't be afraid to ask your questions. Take the time they're offering you. Learn about their specific curriculum or about the methods they might suggest for your situation. Don't buy the lie that they're too busy or bothered. They want to talk to you, I promise. Oh, and on that topic, talk to the other moms and families that you see walking around. You never know what kind of encouragement you can offer each other. Don't try to change your whole homeschool on a sudden whim. Now, if you're listening, God is going to speak to you at this convention. Be ready. But don't feel like you have to change your entire homeschool in one swoop once you get home on Monday. Stop and soak in what you're learning and slowly make a plan for changes. Remember, write it down. You can always come back to it later. I always suggest that you work on 1% improvement at a time. That's how you get lasting change in your homeschool. It's kind of like a New Year's resolution. If you try to change everything all at one time, nothing is going to work. In the spirit of practicality, I've created a free printable homeschool conference notebook. Included are all the pages you need to do each of the steps that I've outlined for you today. Now, I prefer to keep the pages in like a 1-inch binder where I can also add the convention program and any other details that I need. Here's a quick tip. Bring a few empty page protectors to store handouts and flyers and other items that you'll collect at the conference. Your Printable Homeschool Conference notebook includes an Assessing Current Needs worksheet, browsing wish list, curriculum plan for the new year, session notes, changes that you want to make, and topics that you pursue in the future. Each page is decorated with an encouraging verse to keep your mind focused on what's really important. Now, the link to download this free notebook is in the description below. Just click, print, and you'll be ready to go. Once you've done this, it's time to relax and enjoy. God is going to do some work here. All you have to do is show up. Soak it all in. Beware of the nasty comparison monster. Your homeschool is different than others. Refuse to compete. Don't let the enemy whisper "I can't" into your ear. Don't give in to the idea that it's too much information and that you can't possibly process it all. Just take notes and come back to it later. I would so love to meet you if you're attending any of the conventions where I'll be speaking. So check the link in my description for my speaking schedule and more information. I hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more homeschool encouragement. And leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about your favorite homeschool convention experience or any questions that you have. Until next time, happy homeschooling.